When you're performing and you're not in front of a live audience, how do you know that your character's working? How do you know that you're having an effect, whether it's comedic, dramatic?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just don't. Um, I've I've seen the final product on television or in a theater sometimes, and I'm thinking, ooh, that they didn't laugh there where they were supposed to, where we thought they would, or it just didn't have the emotional impact that we thought it would have. Most of the time, you can tell. You're you're depending on the chemistry you have with the other actors, and if it's authentic and it's real, you just know that. You can. It's an organic feeling that is just so present there that you just know it. You know it. But sometimes you don't. You can't hit a home run every time, and even though the business expects you to, sometimes you just don't. Um, so do you cry yourself to sleep and quit the business? No, you just get back up on the horse and try it again the next time.
Were you ever one of those actors that could not watch themselves on screen, that would have to leave during the premiere?
Oh no, no, I love to watch myself.
Okay, great.
I just don't like to watch myself during dailies because I don't think I'm the best judge of how that whole frame of information is working because I can only see one tiny part of it myself. Um, no, sure I like to see myself.
You're able to see, because we talked about it before, you only see yourself as you and all your years on the planet, and you know yourself and ins and outs. What about people that can't watch themselves? Is again, that's their choice? Don't you think that maybe they're harming themselves by not seeing who they are on
Well,
screen?
look, am I happy with every performance that I give and the way I look on screen every time I see myself? No, no, I'm not. You know, um, either the camera angle was not flattering sometimes, or the makeup was a little too troweled on and doesn't look that great, or um, who knows? Any variety of things, mostly technical. And sometimes I've just given performances that that felt good at the time, but then when I finally see them, just didn't quite hit the note that I wanted them to hit. And I think every actor goes through that. Um, but you asked me what do you do? Just you just get over it. Get over it. It's not that big a deal,
Right.
you know? And again, you can't feel your own handshake. It's not, there's a lot of other stuff involved in that scene or that entire project that doesn't have to do with you. So it's not that big a deal.
In terms of us not being able to see how maybe the rest of the world sees us, do you think it's important to get feedback from casting directors, or do some of these workshops where people kind of find your type so you can know maybe you think you're one type and they see you as something else? They see you more as an army general or a banker or something like
Well,
that,
you
and
know,
they thought you were a cowboy.
I do a lot of judges and governors, lawyers, stuff like that.
Did you always see yourself as that type? Maybe you thought you were a fly fisherman.
No,
You saw yourself.
I thought of myself as a romantic lead at one time, but I think one of the most important things an actor can do is to have that self-awareness. An actor needs to know what his type is and what his brand is, his or her brand and type, and um, I just I can't emphasize how important that's been for me. And it guides me in decisions that my agent has in submitting me for things as well. Sometimes I'll say, no, please don't submit me for this because, why? She said, I think you'd be terrific for this. No, no, trust me. This is not in my wheelhouse. Not that I have to, be safe in every project. I think it's also tremendously important to push the envelope and try things that I'm not confident with and that are scary for me. That scene that Val Kilmer and I had in the front seat of the car was an example of that.
Were you always self-aware? They always say that that's the mark of a very successful person. Whatever industry is self-awareness. That's one of the main things.
Well, you watch the American Idol auditions, and you see people who have zero self-awareness. They cannot hear themselves sing. They think they sound like Pavarotti, and they sound like a screeching cat instead. And there's no self-awareness there. I don't know how it's either a blessing to go through life that way, or a curse. I don't know which one it is.
If you think well of yourself, I guess it's probably a blessing.
Yeah. But I think for actors, we do have to have a certain sense of self-awareness that I think the more developed it is, the better it serves us. Yeah.
Are there exercises in self-awareness? Because what if someone, maybe they grew up with blinders on and now they're in this big city and it's a whole new experience, and all their life they were, oh, you're this dear, and patted on the head and coddled, and then they come here and it's a whole rude awakening.
Well, reality is a cruel mistress sometimes, and sometimes, you just have to be slapped in the face with the truth sometimes. And if you're constantly going out and auditioning for one thing, and nobody is casting you, nobody is ever offering you roles of the type that you think you should be playing, and they're constantly offering you roles of a type that you don't think you should be playing. Come on, get a clue. Clue phone's ringing. It's for you. Maybe you ought to consider this other look, this other type that you've been repudiating up until this point.
Aside from that, that's a great analogy of that. But are there other ways to develop your self-awareness? Maybe just through youth, you just think, it'll all turn out and it's all going to be great.
I never did this, but somebody suggested this to me once in a class, and I think it's a good idea. Set up have a couple of pictures of yourself on a card table, and set up the card table at a mall or someplace like that where you maybe get away with something like that. And just as people pass by, ask them what job do they think what your occupation is, just by looking at the pictures. What occupation does this person have? And write down the responses. And generally speaking, they'll all fall into one or two or three different categories, and they'll all be kind of similar. And that's a good way to see yourself as others see you.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I never did it, and I kind of wish I had done it, but I don't think it would have changed anything, because I do know what I look like and what my strong points are, I think, if I have any.